Why is this shit even a thing? Why is...
Yeah, why is that a thing? Yeah, I agree with him. Young people, they're not fucking. They're not making babies. They're not having families. What? Why is that? Wait, housing prices are skyrocketing? Wait, grocery prices just keep going up? The rent is too damn high? What? How could this all be happening? Oh, man. You know what the solution is, bro? It's the Fourth Reich, okay? We're gonna get it right this time, bro. It's the Fourth Reich, bro. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. It's gonna fix everything. It's gonna fix the milk prices. Anyway, moving on to Tom Foe. Here we go.
Welcome to the end.
And he's gonna be complaining about women or whatever. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome
Femoids.
to the end of decadence and the fall of civilization. Welcome to the end of decadence and where decadence leads. It leads to a civilization where young women between the ages of 12 and 16 talk about how they want to be OnlyFans models when they grow up. They want to turn 18 and start doing OnlyFans. And then now, thank God, with all those new 18-year-olds doing OnlyFans, Klarna is coming out of the woods, and now you are going to be able to buy now and pay later on your OnlyFans subscription. We're going to have Indian dudes going in debt to pay your daughter for her OnlyFans subscription so they can support your daughter being an independent, strong female warrior of America, of, everywhere. And if you're watching this, a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, he's talking about America.
Isn't it only like $5 a month?
West in general. So chances are this applies to you too. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Klarna's coming out pretty soon. Probably by the end of this year, you're going to be able to make payments on your $5 OnlyFans subscription, which is nuts. First, it was the burritos. They had the burritos. You could, do 7 easy payments on a Chipotle bowl. Now you can do 18 easy payments on an OnlyFans subscription, dude. We've come full circle. What can't you do a payment plan on now, dude? It's everything. All the bases are covered. And I mean, this is coming at a time where nobody...
Isn't a subscription model already like a payment plan? How does that work? How do you get a loan for a subscription? Like, you're already paying it over time, like what? So what, you buy like a year-long subscription, but you pay it off over 2 years? Or like, how does this work?
Nobody has any money. Nobody has any money. Everything's tanking, dude. It's all fake anyway, so they're like, well, what can we do for these good boys? Let's let them go into debt on OnlyFans subscriptions. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. It's like, I need a payment plan on that, like, yesterday, okay? Because I don't have any money. But honestly, besides that, I mean, what else is going on with all this? Well, we have a society of teenage girls that want to become OnlyFans models, and I wonder why. I wonder why that is. I wonder why a bunch of young women...
Probably because everyone's poor.
And some of these girls are like 12 that they asked in this study. But there's a lot of these women, they're going to enter the workforce one day. And a lot of them are like, you know what I want to do? I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be an engineer. I want to sell pictures online. I want to do OnlyFans. I think I want to get into sex work. That's what our women, our young, underage girls are starting to think like. They're like, well, how can I be successful in this society? Well, I can do OnlyFans. And that's what we get. That's what we get with decadence. That's where decadence leads. It leads to, you don't even have to like psyop kids into one...
This is where the sexualization of young children leads. Okay, and the, like, normalization of it. Right? We are a country that has for many decades, child beauty pageants. Think about that.
They do this shit. They just look around. They see the world what it is. They don't want to work at McDonald's. They don't want to work at Subway. They want money. They want it fast. They want attention. And I mean, honestly, if you look at all these younger women, and if you think like, why would they want this? Why would they want to do this stuff? I mean, how could they not? They go on Instagram every day. They go on TikTok. They go on X. And what do they see? They see all these young women who are old enough to do OnlyFans, who are of age. And what are they doing? They're promoting their OnlyFans accounts. It's probably one of the biggest things that all this social media is really being used for, is to promote sex work to a certain degree. Now, there's a lot of rules. You're not supposed to say it out loud, but they do it. They put links in their bios. They do very subversive type posting. And, you get the idea. It's like, okay, this girl's trying to sell nudes. She's a sex worker, and that's how she makes money. And all these younger girls are looking at her, and they're saying, wow. They're seeing those stories about girls like Sophie Rain, who made $43 million on OnlyFans. And I know that is debatable. Some people were saying she couldn't have made that much money. The point being is she is a millionaire at least. Maybe it's not $43 million a year, because that's a fuckload of money, but I wouldn't doubt it either. She's still making a lot of money being an OnlyFans model. And why are all these young women wanting to get into this? Because it's quick, it's easy, it gets you attention, it gets you a lot of things. And it's kind of sad that that's where society's heading, but this isn't new. This has been going on for a while. It's kind of crazy. OnlyFans hasn't even existed for a decade yet. It came out in July of 2016, and it didn't even get famous really until like 2019, 2020 during COVID. That's when everybody found out what it was. But really, for the first like 3 or 4 years, it was a thing. It wasn't that popular. But I remember even before OnlyFans, I knew girls that I grew up with that started doing sex work. They started private Snapchats where they would sell nudes. It's so easy. And a lot of people, they get mad when you talk about OnlyFans models, when you call them like prostitutes. They say, oh, they're not prostitutes. Don't say that. That's very like problematic that you would call them that. And then you look at actual OnlyFans models, and what do they do when they defend their work? They call it sex work. They literally group themselves in with strippers and actual call girls and escorts and prostitutes. So it's like, yeah, it is prostitution. That's what it is. Like by their own definition, they do sex work. So they're online prostitutes. They're online whores. That's what it is. And this is
No, a prostitute is someone that you pay for, like, intercourse, like the actual act of having sex. That's what prostitute does. Sex work is a more broad definition. Okay, so you wouldn't call strippers prostitutes unless they are a stripper prostitute. Okay, there are strippers that, you know, do prostitution. Okay, you wouldn't call an escort a prostitute unless they are also doing prostitution. Okay, so like these things often intersect, right? But, you know, words have meaning. Okay, and anyway, OnlyFans models, you know, I would say that what they do is sex work, kind of like how like Playboy magazine models do. That's sex work. Okay, but they're not prostitutes. They could be prostitutes at the same time, but doing that work doesn't make you a prostitute.
So much of this. It's kind of crazy, dude. OnlyFans hasn't even existed for a decade, and it's already basically like one-shot our society and the future of our society into degeneracy. And like for what? So your daughter can make a bunch of money with a bunch of like Indian dudes just paying her. That's what you want. Like to all these fucking adults, dude. All these parents that support their kids doing sex work, they're like proud. It's like you're proud that like a bunch of Indian dudes are paying your daughter to see your asshole so they can jerk off to it. You're proud of that. You support that. That's your favorite thing ever. Is that your daughter's doing that? What the fuck is wrong with you? And it even gets worse, dude. There's that one girl who was like raised being a YouTuber. Her parents started putting her in YouTube videos when she was 12. She turned 18 last year, and they automatically had her do OnlyFans. She made like $1 million within the first day. And her manager is her mom. Her mom and her dad are literally pimping her out, dude. They groomed her to get famous as an underage girl, and now they're pimping her out, and they're making a lot of money. And that's what our society is.
Are you talking about Lil Tay? Okay, yeah, her story, it's, you know, from what I can tell, and like, who knows what the fuck was actually going on there. But yeah, that looked really fucked up. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but we're talking about a child that was exploited at a young age, right? They used her identity as a child to make profit, to make viral videos. Okay, because, you know, her being a child was kind of the whole point of that content. Is she was a kid, but she was like, you know, she was flexing her money, right? And you know, not only was she a kid, but she was a little girl as well. So, you know, I remember seeing it when I was, you know, I'm a little bit older than her, but I remember seeing that and thinking it was funny. You know, it was outrageous. You know, this little kid like flexing racks and in her supercars. You know, it was crazy. It was crazy. And like, you know, it was pretty easy to figure out that it was fake. Of course, you know, the cars are rented, yada yada. But, yeah, I mean, you know, my point is I don't really think that the sex work in Lil Tay's career, right, her, like, OnlyFans career, I don't think that's the most problematic aspect of her career. I think it's the fact that she was a child, and she was exploited. Her, like, I believe she had like a lot of money stolen from her, okay, because she was a child and she didn't have control. Okay, so that's fucked up. Okay, her parents, you know, that's wrong. Okay, at the same time, like, you can only know so much about an internet personality's like real life drama. You know, so who knows what happened. But one thing's for sure, she is definitely, like, a victim of her family.
And a lot of people will blame a lot of things. They'll blame capitalism. They'll say capitalism to this. Then they'll blame the men. They'll say, well, it's the men's fault because the men are willing to pay for all this. And it's like, well, yeah, the men do play a role in this. I'm not denying that whatsoever. But did you ever think that...
Yeah, but it's the fault... Whenever people, like, blame the consumer, right? You're not necessarily wrong for blaming things on the consumer. Consumers do fucked up things, okay? They buy things and it's fucked up, okay? You know, it's true. But, like, yeah, you have to look at the system. Okay, you have to scrutinize the system. Okay, so it's not that you can't blame them at all, but if that's like your gut reaction, you're probably wrong. Okay, you are probably
the majority of the guys who buy the shit, they're not even American. Like, a lot of the money comes from fucking Indians, dude. I'm not even kidding. Why do you think when white women go to India, go to Sri Lanka, when these people see them, they just pull their dicks out and start jerking off because they're so obsessed with porn? Every time they see a white woman on the internet, it's because they're watching porn of her getting fucked. So no wonder they think they're all sluts and they think they're all whores, because that's all they're used to seeing on the internet. So it's like, dude, there's a lot of issues and there's a lot of problems. How did we get here? How did we get to a society where young girls are like actually interested in doing that instead of like any other fucking career field they could get into? They want to do OnlyFans, and it's because of the lifestyle. They're not thinking about the weirdos who are going to jerk off to their shit. They're not thinking about the weird suggestive messages they're going to get, because a lot of these women, they get exposed to like the worst types of men. And it's kind of crazy how many women I personally know who I grew up around who did OnlyFans or did some type of sex work, and most of them don't do it anymore, but almost all of them are still suffering because they did it. It's not even like a joke, dude. Like, I knew a girl who did it for like 6 months and she barely made any money, and she was hot. She just wasn't good at the business side of things and at marketing herself, and so she didn't make any money, and all of her shit leaked. And after her deleting everything and getting it wiped off the internet, or at least the best she could do with wiping it off the internet, it's still on there, and every once in a while they'll pop up on random pages, and she's told me about this. I've had conversations with her about it, and that was like 6 years ago when she stopped, by the way, and she still can't have a normal relationship, because for her to have a normal relationship, she has to be honest about the fact that she did OnlyFans, and every time she does that, the relationship obviously gets weird, because the only time she talks to a guy that's actually cool with her having done that, it turns out the guy ends up being fucking weird as shit, and then she ends up not liking him. So it's a lot of problems, and I feel bad for her, but I mean...
Wow, well, none of that shit sounds like her fault at all. Doesn't sound like a moral failure on her part. She tried something. That, you know, kind of makes sense. You know, like, yeah, I mean, if I were a woman, look, I'm not a very smart person. Okay, and OnlyFans, you know, I'm not saying it's, like, easy to do or anything, but, like, but anyone can do it, okay, or any woman, I mean, so, you know, I don't know, but I can't, like, you can't fault a woman for making that choice, and it's not, like a moral failure, anyway, but, it can create, at the same time, though, I think it depends on where you live, okay, because there are a lot of places that, like, you know, where the guys, they don't fucking care, okay, they don't care if you, like, where I live, or, well, maybe not right now, but places I've lived in the past, you know, all the men that I knew wouldn't give a fuck at all if a woman was a straight up porn star, let alone like an OnlyFans model. Okay, like it's just, it's not really that big a deal to most guys, I feel like. I don't know. I mean, you know me. Hey, you know me.
We're going to have a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of young women in the future that are going to make this mistake with getting into sex work when they don't really think about the consequences. They think about the fast money. They think about the attention. They think about the fact that a lot of these girls, they drive nice cars. They buy whatever they want. They don't need no man, you know, but they actually do, because they need men to buy their shit. But they don't need no man. They're independent. They're strong. It's peak feminism, dude. This is where feminism leads to. It leads to women having sex with 1,000 guys in 24 hours, with them one-upping each other, all this insane shit. And I know you guys are thinking, this is crazy.
Yeah, it totally doesn't lead to women having, like, some, like, similar opportunities to men, right, where like now women can become doctors and lawyers. Nah, it just leads to all women becoming whores. That's what it does.
Because this is actually really relevant.
Yeah, bro.
This is actually a problem. This is something that is currently going on and is currently getting worse. The fact that this is even a study to begin with, that there are 12-year-old girls that are literally like excited to turn 18 so they can fucking do sex work, is pretty fucking concerning. So that's why we're talking about it, because that's where all of this leads to. Degeneracy, feminism, all these things. That is where it goes.
What study?
It goes to girls turning 18 and automatically getting into sex work, not even waiting to be 18. There was a bunch of cases over the years where there were underage girls who were either being groomed or forced, or in certain cases, because they were just so excited to start, they lied about their age, they faked documents, and they started doing OnlyFans and selling nudes and all this stuff before they were even of age. This is something that's happened before. It's gonna always happen. But how did we get here? And it's like, you do have, on one hand,
we got here because we live in a society. Okay, we live in a society that sexualizes children. That's the society we live in. So children, they understand this, right? They're not stupid. They're naive, but they're not stupid. So they understand society. Okay, young girls, they understand that they are sexual objects to many people. And some of these girls see that as an opportunity, because of course they do. We live in a society where we also live in a society where you have to make money to survive. Okay, poor people are especially aware of the reality that if you don't have enough money, you die. Okay, That's why a lot of these women, they come from backgrounds of abject poverty, and OnlyFans or something similar was their way out.
You have a lot of young women that are getting forced into these positions. That's always been a criticism of porn, of sex work, is that women are being forced to do it. The problem, however, isn't the women being forced. It's the women volunteering. The majority of the women that do OnlyFans, they don't do it because they're forced to do it. They do it because they think they can make money. They think it's easy. They don't understand that they're signing up for a lot more than what they realize. They're getting a lot more than what they bargained for. And
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use the word forced for most people, but I would use the word coerced for most people. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course, in the same way that we are all coerced into doing our jobs. Okay, even if you hate your job, you do it anyway. That's coercion.
Cases where women like Nala, that girl Nala, who did OnlyFans and was going on like the whatever podcast and was talking about how much she loved being a whore and all this shit, and then eventually out of nowhere she gets saved and she becomes a Christian and she gets forgiven and then she deletes all of her stuff and then she gets a platform. She gets to be a Christian influencer who was saved from pornography.
Yeah,
she was
so
saved from a life
stupid.
of sin, and everybody forgives her. And obviously people criticize her and there's shame, but she still has a platform. She still gets that attention. She gets a husband. There's some cuck at some church that's like, you know what, I love you. And maybe I'm being a little too harsh, but honestly, I don't think I'm being harsh enough because I am a Christian and I do believe in forgiving people. I do believe forgiveness is a thing, but I do believe in consequences. And there are consequences, not only with Nala doing OnlyFans. Obviously, people are always going to see her as kind of being a whore. That's just how it is, and she understands that. The consequences I'm talking about here right now are the consequences of us as a society giving her a platform after the fact. Because what that does is it sends a message to young girls, underage girls, who might be considering doing OnlyFans. And the only thing that's really stopping them is the fallout, is the consequences, is the judgment. And it's them thinking, I can't do that because what will my family think? I can't do that because what will my friends say? I can't do that. People will say I'm a whore. I can't do this. I need to do something else. I don't want to be shamed. But now we don't exist in a world with shame. It has been removed. And because of that, because there's no longer any shame, and because we are constantly giving, and I don't want to say forgiveness to these women, because I think people all sin. I think everybody makes mistakes, and forgiveness is for everyone. It's for whoever is willing to take it. That's really what it is. But that doesn't mean you give these women platforms, because now you're sending the message to the young girls, you can have your cake and eat it too. If OnlyFans doesn't work out for you, you can just quit, and then you can become a Bible girl. You can become a Bible e-girl. You can become a fitness e-girl. You're forgiven from your past. You still get the money. You still get the attention. You still get the platform. You're still going to have an audience. And now instead of having a bunch of weird Indian dudes who are jerking off to your OnlyFans, now you're just going to get a bunch of beta orbiters that go to church and are just fucking simping for all these bitches and white knighting for all these bitches. And you're just going to get your attention from them now. And I understand people would say, well, there's a benefit to that because she can convince the girls not to do OnlyFans. And what I'm telling you is that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is it's sending the message that they can get away with this. It's fine. It's fine. I can try to do the fast money. And if that doesn't work out, I can pivot. Now, am I saying Nala isn't a Christian? Is she not really saved? No, but also at the same time, I don't really care. I'm not actually talking about her. I'm talking about the people who are giving her a platform, the people who are inviting her to conferences where she can speak. They think it sends this message of empowerment to women to not do sex work, to not do these things, but it does the opposite. And that's kind of the problem with society right now. The problem with conservatism is it's infiltrated by all these covert feminists. And so they think what they're doing is empowering women to be like traditional, but really what you're doing is giving them a get out of jail free card to where you're telling them you can get away with this. If this doesn't work out, it's fine. You know, the consequences won't be that bad.
But that's not really her message though on her platform, is it? Like, it's more like she's sending girls a warning, right? She's trying to say, like, oh, I made this mistake. It has negatively affected my life. Don't do what I did. Okay, that kind of thing. Okay, a lot of people do this. They do this, and it's effective. I kind of do this to some extent. But, you know, for me, instead of OnlyFans, it's fucking MAGA. Okay, it's Donald Trump. But yeah, I mean, she's not encouraging OnlyFans. She's actually doing the opposite of that. She's discouraging it. Okay? That's it. But anyway, you're right that her content isn't really made for young girls anyway, or young women. It's for young men. Okay? That's it. Okay, it's for men who like want to believe that like we can save them. We can save the whores. They can be chained. They can become trad. You know, and yeah, it's fucking stupid. Of course it is. But hey, you know, look, I don't really like the message that she's pushing, but like, hey, make your bed, queen. You know what I'm saying?
You can fuck people on camera. It's fine because you can just get saved and you'll find some loser at church who will marry you anyways. It's okay. You can always become a conservative later. It's okay. You can do it. That's the message that it's sending.
Well, yeah, man, because you can. You can do that. Yeah, you are. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody fucks up. Everybody hurts people. Okay, all of these things. People do it. okay? People can change. People do change. Actually, people change no matter what. I really don't think that most people remain stagnant for the most part. I think people are constantly changing. Constantly rewriting themselves. It's about what you want to change about yourself. That's what it is.
This isn't stopping any of these young women from changing. The only thing that will, and I'll tell you what can, and a lot of people are going to disagree, but these are the two things that needs to happen. Number one is shame. You need to have shame in a society, not just towards the women, but towards the men. You need to shame the men for even participating in this bullshit, and you need to shame the women. That's the only way you get out of this. You have to bring back some level of responsibility as a society. Do we not have a responsibility to call out each other when we're being degenerate freaks? To a certain degree, and I understand everybody has skeletons in their closet and everybody makes mistakes, and I'm not saying we can't forgive people.
I actually agree with this, okay? Just, obviously, what we need to shame, me and Tom here will disagree on. Thomas is saying we need to shame the gays and the trans people and the immigrants and, most importantly, the whores of society, okay? I'm saying we need to shame dipshits like you. Nazi freaks that obsess over what other people are doing in their lives to make their money or to fucking, do what makes them happy, okay? People like you should be ashamed for the rhetoric that you push. And I think that shaming them is, it's something that we need to do. It is, it's not the like, one true answer to all of this, okay? Like, it's not gonna fix everything, of course. But yeah, we need to shame people like this. This is terrible,
but maybe
evil
you don't
shit.
Give them a platform, or maybe you don't do it right after you quit doing porn. Maybe you should take a few years, maybe take a chill pill for a little, maybe dial it back, and then let's see if you can have a real platform instead of just building it off of your porn career. Maybe we should do that. Maybe that's the right message to send. But no, we're doing quite the opposite, and we have a society that promotes this degeneracy, and it accepts it, and it's everywhere, and it's always going to be everywhere because we have a society that has feminism. It's rooted at the core of this nation, and a lot of these conservatives, a lot of these people, they have an idea.
Nothing will make these guys happy. It's like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, if you are a person that did any kind of sex work, you have to disappear. You have to fucking disappear. Fuck you. Be ashamed. Forever. Disappear. Nobody wants to hear from you. Like, this is insanity. This isn't Christian-like. Right? This isn't fucking trad Christianity. The fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, she has a story. She has a message that she thinks is important to share with young women, and you're shaming her for that, even though you're in agreement with her.
That we currently have is third wave feminism, and if we could just dial
all
it back,
because of her identity.
Just have second wave feminism. If we could just have first wave feminism, it would be okay. It would be balanced. But see, that's not how it works. Because feminism, it's like a tree. It's rooted, it grows, and it gets to a point to where people don't like it. They're like, I don't like these certain branches, so let's cut those off. Let's dial it back. Because I liked it when it looked like this before. This was okay. And they don't realize that in just trimming the branches, they're going to grow back. The tree's not dead. It's very much alive. Feminism, you can't just dial it back to first wave, second wave, and not expect it to evolve again to where it is. Not expect it to evolve again to a point in time where 12-year-old girls are considering getting into sex work. That's where it's always going to lead. And I had a conversation with Right Wing Coalition about this not too long ago on his Patreon. Why is this a problem? And it's like, it is.
Yeah, you know what feminism wants, bro? Feminism wants children to sell their bodies. Right? That's what feminism wants. Feminism wants children to willingly sell their, they want them to be models, they want them to do sex work. Yeah, bro. That's what feminism is all about. Oh, yeah, it's definitely not about, like, equality for all people, right, for men and women. No, it's just about sexualizing children, of course, because famously, before feminism, in America, nobody ever sexualized children. It never happened. Don't you know? Didn't you know that?
The second solution to all of this, it's not just bringing back shame, it's bringing back God. And I know a lot of you think, oh, well, that wouldn't fix this. It would. You wonder why? Because shame is not good enough. Shame is good in a social sense. It's good enough in the sense that if people see it, they'll call you out. But what about the times when people don't see it? What about the times when you're alone? And that's the idea of God. Whether you believe in God or Christianity or you don't, the idea is that when people are convicted by something other than shame from other people, when they know that God is watching them as well, and that whatever they do, even when nobody else sees it, they will be judged for those things, that's when you actually start getting a society that functions way better. Because what do we have now? We don't have either of those things, and we are literally skydiving into total collapse. And some people, they'll say, Tom, prostitution isn't new. Prostitution has always been a thing. And you're right. Prostitution has always been a thing. People have always participated in this. This has always been something every society has dealt with. But the problem is when it becomes socially acceptable en masse. That's the problem. The problem is when you have 12-year-old little girls wanting to do that as a career. That's when you know, holy fucking shit, the society is fixing to crash and burn. I'm not even joking. Every single time that becomes an indicator of like the future of like where it's kind of headed, the society burns to the ground. The society gets fucked up or it gets completely transformed. It's never a good thing when that becomes socially acceptable. And I would love to see the fucking, people defend that being a good thing. Defend little girls wanting to become sex workers. No, go ahead. Make your fucking argument in the comments. If you have any fucking balls as a fucking freak, because I know you're a freak, make your argument in the comments. I would love to see you get your ass dragged in the fucking comments. Whatever argument you might have for protecting the idea of little kids wanting to get into this line of work, let's hear it. Because look, prostitution isn't new. It's always been a thing.
No, man. No sane person is defending this. At all. People on the left don't defend this. The only people that kinda defend this as a group are libertarians. Okay, the like legalize everything types. And yeah. It's insanity. It's mental sickness. Children must be protected. Right? They shouldn't be sexualized. But our society has a long-standing tradition of sexualizing children. So when you're talking about a return to tradition, understand. That's what you're talking about. Okay, in this country, child marriage was legal and wholly accepted just 100 years ago. And it's still legal in many states today. Only 16 states have outlawed child marriage in this country. I had a commenter that I was arguing with about this, and that was today, and that's why I know this. Okay, 16 states have banned have banned child marriage. That's it. In every other state, there are exceptions, right? With parental consent, with the approval of a judge, you can marry a child. That's why I hate the idea that this is feminism, that it's feminism doing this. That is delusion. No. The sexualization of children has been in this country for a long time. Child marriage has been in this country for a long time. And it's gotten better. Okay, like it's not like socially acceptable to marry a child anymore, even if it is legal in many states. It's not like you'll be an outcast for doing that. You'll be socially ostracized. But like, it's only become like this after civil rights, after feminism. Okay, and I'm not even making the argument that feminism did this, right? That feminism made it socially unacceptable to marry children. I don't really know what the reason is, other than just like general social progress. Okay, and the protection of children from a legislative perspective. But anyway, feminism definitely didn't make it fucking worse. Because if it did, then it would be worse than it was back then. And it's not. And if you want to make the case that it is because of like OnlyFans or whatever, then okay, yeah, you can do that. You're fucking stupid. And we can keep arguing about it, but that's it. That's all I got.
Every society has had it. America's had it since technically the very beginning to a certain degree, but it was always shamed. It was always.
Was it? Oh, it was shamed. Is that so? Show me. Where was it shamed? When was it shamed? When exactly in America was it shameful to marry a child? Was it shameful to marry a child before feminism? Was it?
Kept
show
on
me.
The outside. You know, a lot of people, they have this idea that society, you know, we always had brothels, and the brothels were always like right there next to the church and everything else. No, you idiot. It was never like that. There was always a level of, look, hey, that's fucked up. Don't do that. There was always a level of conviction. People had some type of morality when it came to this stuff, at least en masse. And yeah, do guys hire prostitutes? Is sex work always going to be a thing? Yes, you're never going to be able to get rid of that. That's not the point I'm making. But when you turn it into this socially acceptable practice, and you also make it to where these women, in a way, become like rock stars, they become role models to younger girls because they get everything they want. Now, obviously, we know on the inside, they get completely fucked up, and they have all these mental problems, and they become super depressed. And unfortunately, a lot of these women that get into sex work, a darker side to all of this is they become extremely addicted to drugs, and in some cases, they take their own lives, or they OD. It's actually really fucked up, and it's been a problem for a very long time. So there is a dark side to this that most people will acknowledge, but the younger girls don't see that. The little girls, when they see Sophie Rain making millions of dollars, living in a house with all of her whore friends, because they don't view it in that way, because we don't have a society of shame, so they just see it as them having fun, and buying whatever they want, and getting whatever they want, and guys love them, and men give them all the attention they could ever want, and they don't understand the complexity of these things. They don't understand how that would really make them feel, and so they look up to these girls. They see them as role models. In a way, they probably kind of worship them, because they idolize them, and it makes them want to do what they're doing. That's the problem. The problem is that. The problem is you have a society where women who choose to do this, you know, it's like a lottery. Now, do most of them make a lot of money? No, but the ones that do, they make fuckloads of money, and they get to do whatever the fuck they want, and that is extremely appealing to a lot of people, especially younger girls, and that's why this is an issue. That's why this is a problem. You're always going to have prostitution. Yes, that's always going to be a thing. Nobody in their right fucking mind is saying that you're going to be able to completely get rid of that. That's not what I'm arguing for. But when it's accepted en masse, that is the sign of collapse. That is the sign of Weimar conditions. And when you have Weimar conditions and Weimar problems, you get Weimar solutions. And to all the people who might be afraid of that,
He's talking about Nazis, by the way. For those of you that don't know, the Weimar Republic was a deeply troubled society. Okay? And when you study Germany, the German state pre-unification, it kind of starts to become obvious why. Okay, like these independent states were also deeply fucked up. Okay, and it took the Nazi movement and the defeat of the Nazis and re-education camps for people to be broken out of this. Okay, the Weimar Republic was always anti-Semitic. It was for the entirety. That it wasn't just the Nazis, is what I'm saying. Like the Nazis didn't start all the anti-Semitism. They didn't start all of the genocidal talk, the talk of deportations. Okay, no, this shit was around for a long time. Okay, and you look at America, look around, look at our history. This shit's been around for a long time. Now now we're reaching an inflection point. Okay, so what he's saying here, he's touching on something that is real. Okay, he's saying that we are the Weimar Republic, we are reaching our National Socialist moment, and he's right. We have reached our National Socialist moment. It's called MAGA, and they are here, they are in power. That's where we're at. Vote for Democratic Socialist.
Because that's kind of the point with that stuff. It comes whether you like it or not. And that's kind of the point of this conversation. That's where you have to realize where this goes. It doesn't lead to society functioning better. It leads to destruction. It leads to downfall. It leads to collapse. A lot of people think it's too late. They've already given up. They say, well, I'm going to just sit back and I'm just going to relax and I'm just going to enjoy the downfall of civilization. I'm just going to enjoy the view. Which that's cuck shit, by the way. If you think like that, honestly, you're a bitch. In fact, you might as well just put your address in the comments. We'll show up to your house, set it on fire. We'll speed run you a little bit to that collapse. We'll get you there a little bit quicker since you're so fucking like horny for the end of civilization. We'll just go ahead and set your house on fire today. Just speed run you there. But I digress. The reason why society is the way it is because there is no morality. There is no conviction from a spiritual sense. There is no belief that we have that we are above these things, that we are meant to restrain ourselves from these things, and we have all these people. It's a lot of fucking conservatives too, and that's the problem I have. A lot of people get mad at me because I constantly talk about Republicans, and they're like, you must be a Democrat, and it's like, I'm not a fucking Democrat. In fact, Democrats literally think I'm a Nazi. But the reason why I have so much of a problem with Republicans, and I've said this multiple times, but I have to keep saying it, is because they are supposed to be the ones that represent us. They're supposed to be the ones that fight for us, but they do this bitch shit, and I fucking hate it. It's so pathetic. I literally have no fucking respect for all of these people, for all these fucking conservative faggots I have no respect for them, dude, whatsoever. They fucking, dude, you little snakes. They think they can play with this bullshit. They think they can play around with it. Oh, if we just had second wave, if it was just like the 90s. What are you talking about? If it was just like, what? If it was like a certain decade? That's just a decade, dude. If all you can do is daydream about the 80s or the 90s when it was so good, like shit wasn't accelerating in that decade.
The
like, shit wasn't
90s
getting
and the
bad in that time.
90s.
How do you think we got here to begin with? Oh, but it was so balanced. We had things just right. If we could have just kept it just like that. That's the point. You can't keep it like that. That's the point with feminism. You don't get to keep it at second wave. You don't get to keep it at first wave. It will always evolve into this. You do not get to dance with the devil. You don't get to play around with degeneracy. It always leads to this. A society where teenage girls are literally considering whoring themselves out when they turn 18. That's what you get. You don't get the 90s forever. The reason why you daydream about the 90s is because it was only a decade. That's not good enough. That's 10 years. That is only 10
he's getting
years.
real angry.
It will come and go. If you balance it again, it will just be a decade, and then boom. You're back to the same fucking bullshit. So that's why I have a problem with all these conservatives and these fucking libertarians that are like, oh, well, it's okay. We can have pornography. It's fine. It's fine. You don't need to ban it. You don't need to. I'm totally against that. Let the market decide. Let the market decide. This is where that fucking attitude leads to, bro, is a bunch of younger girls that literally daydream about becoming prostitutes. That's where let the markets just decide goes. Because, like, what the fuck? How do you even respond to this? Really? How do you look at this? Anybody who's, like, in support of OnlyFans, and I know a lot of people are going to watch this, and there's going to be a lot of people who completely disagree with me, and they're going to be saying some dumb shit like, oh, actually, it's very empowering for women. Yeah, like, what the fuck ever, dude? It's like the people bitching and complaining about how, oh, well, women, they need to be doctors and they need to be engineers. Well, this is what you get. You get a society.
I hate the straw manning, bro. I hate it. I hate it. It's the worst part about arguing with conservatives, bro, is all the fucking straw men that you have to deal with. Like, no, man, it's not that OnlyFans is empowering to women. No, what's empowering to women is having capital, is having financial power. That's girl boss, okay? That's real feminist power. Is owning capital. And women, for the entirety of our country's history, were locked out of doing that. Until recently. Okay? And now, women be owning things, they be girl bossing. Okay? That's what's great about feminism. Nobody is saying that the best part about feminism is that now, young women, right, like freshly 18-year-old women get to sell their bodies on the internet. No, because that's not a product of feminism. It is a product of the sexualization, the intense and perverse routine sexualization of young women in our society and young girls. Okay? So, no, being an OnlyFans model isn't just some girl boss moment. Nobody is saying that.
I want to do that because that's hard work. They want the fast, easy money. But every single time I see somebody trying to fix this, they don't fix it at all. You see them take these repentant ex-whores and give them platforms so they can speak out against OnlyFans and talk about how you shouldn't do it. I hate to say this to you. I'm not trying to piss on your parade here. Just a little, food for thought. I don't think any girl who's actually seriously considering doing OnlyFans and selling pictures of her body for money is going to see some ex-OnlyFans girl talk about how it's a bad thing and decide not to do that. I think they already have their mind made up. And if anything, to the girls that are in that situation, they're going to see you and they're going to think, well, if it doesn't work, I can do what you're doing. And I know that sounds fucked up to say that girls would think that and have that mindset, but that's a thing because it's happening all the time. And that's what you get. You get this society where it's like, well, you can't shame them, you can't judge them. And there's a big problem right now with younger men, not being able to get into relationships. Younger women too. A lot of young women are not getting into relationships. People are not creating families. And why is this shit even a thing?
Yeah, why is that a thing? Yeah, I agree with them. Young people, they're not fucking. They're not making babies. They're not having families. What? Why is that? Wait, housing prices are skyrocketing? Wait, grocery prices just keep going up? The rent is too damn high? What? How could this all be happening? Oh, man. You know what the solution is, bro? It's the Fourth Reich, okay? We're gonna get it right this time, bro. It's the Fourth Reich, bro. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. It's gonna fix everything. It's gonna fix the milk prices.
So the family structure is already destroyed. And now fast forward to 2026, and what do you have? You have, men that don't want to talk to women, and then you have women that don't want to talk to men, and then you have a growing number of men who are getting super addicted to porn.
Okay. You're projecting, most likely. You don't want to talk to women. Look, we be talking to women, okay? Us men, we be talking to them, okay? Like, you are constantly online, okay? I am too, okay? I'm somewhat ashamed to admit, okay? I don't really go outside anymore, bro. I don't really talk to women either. The last time I talked to a woman that was like a stranger, it was New Year's. You know, I took a little break. Anyway, go outside, man. You can still talk to women, okay? They might not want to fuck you instantly, okay? You know, you got to be friends with them first, most of the time. That's kind of the way it goes, okay? But, like, you can still do it. You can still talk to women.
And that literally fucks their entire worldview up, and their perception of reality and their perception of women. It fucks all of that up. And then you have a bunch of women that are literally becoming whores and doing sex work. And then you're expecting them to just kind of figure it out and make families and have kids and, you know, that are fruitful, like a fruitful family that's going to make society better. You think they're going to be able to function properly with a situation like that, with a setup like that? No, you don't get that at all. You get more isolation. You get more degeneracy.
No, the setup that you're talking about, the real problem is, once again, the material conditions. People are too poor to start families. It's the same reason that people do sex work so routinely. Okay, like, if people could afford homes, if people could afford groceries, would sex work be as common? Right? Would OnlyFans be as common? No, it would not. Fuck no, it wouldn't. Would people still do it? Yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course. People that really care about making content, okay, and you might find it silly. You might find that silly, right? That, like, there are women that actually, like, take pride and they care about the modeling that they do on OnlyFans. You know, their asshole pics, as you put it. Okay, but it's true. There are women that do this and they take pride in their work, and I say, good for them. You know, that's great. Okay, but you're right that the fact that so many women are doing this, are resorting to this, it's, you know, it's like, like, why is this happening? It's because everything is unaffordable, bro. Okay, women can't pay for it, men can't pay for it, nobody can pay for it. Nobody can afford their rent, their groceries. I don't know how there are still people doing it. For real. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, you know, I did it for a long time, right? I'll continue to in the future, but, like, I'm really lucky. Okay, I had a fortunate upbringing. I got a good education. I went to a nice school, okay, and I learned things, and, you know, I've talked about my career before. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but, like, I get high-paying jobs, basically. You know, I get, like, medium, high-end paying jobs, and I'm early on in my career, but, like, I don't, like, I can live fairly comfortably on just my income, but, like, I still struggle. I don't know how people do this shit when they're working at, like, Starbucks or Subway, right? And they be like, and they be going to school at the same time, because I did that, okay? And I needed help, right? Like, I have parents. I have parents that would, like, get, you know, here's a little money for your car payment, for your rent. You know, I don't know how people do it, but anyway, that's the problem with society. Everything's unaffordable.
You get more suicides, you get more depression, you get all of these things. And I'm not saying that every single person who commits suicide or who's depressed or every single family that gets destroyed or marriage that doesn't work out is the result of porn, but quite a lot of it is. Porn is one of the most destructive things that exists. It's one of the most destructive things that has been created.
Yeah,
so when I hear people who are, like, saying, oh, we shouldn't ban it or we shouldn't do this, it's like, dude, you're literally condoning younger kids getting hooked on one of the most addictive substances ever created. And it was bad for me when I was a kid. And, dude, when I was a kid and I saw porn for the first time, I was 8 years old. To this day, I still remember the first porn video I ever saw. And that was back, dude, before there was an iPhone. I'm Gen Z, but I'm a little bit older, dude. So I remember the video was like 240p, so the quality was horrible. But I remember it, dude. It was etched in my fucking brain to this day. And it's extremely powerful. Porn, the pull of it, the addiction of it, it's more addictive than any drug you can think of. And the fact that it's in the hands of
the problem with what you're talking about is enforcement. Okay, porn is on the internet. restricting children from accessing it, it sounds easy and it sounds like a really good thing, but it's not easy, and in fact, like, the methods of enforcing it are kind of bad, kind of a problem. So no. You know, that what you're saying is fucking stupid. We should not do this. That's really all I have to say about it.
Everybody, even younger women. It's not just gooner men, there's gooner women too.
Unless you want to upload your ID.
Everybody up. And now we have a society where, because of platforms like OnlyFans, and because people are making so much money, and it's not even most of them. A lot of women don't make any money off of OnlyFans to begin with. I think the average woman who's like in their prime in OnlyFans, they make like maybe $100 a month or something like that. It's not a lot of money to expose your entire body for just $100 a month, and that only lasts for like a couple months. It's not like every month forever. It's only temporary, and then it goes away. But boom, you show pictures of your asshole, and I mean, God forbid you did more shit, and now literally your life is kind of fucked. And we're gonna have a society where that's something we're gonna have to deal with. We're gonna have to deal with a lot of women who did that, and a lot of those women are gonna have kids, and their kids are gonna suffer for it. A lot of kids now, they're getting bullied because their mom did sex work or their mom was a porn star. And we know it's coming. We know it's going to get worse. And you have that on one end. And then on the other end, you have the people that are so eager to forgive these women. And they're so eager to not shame them. That's the problem. The forgiveness isn't the problem.
Look, man, kids can be mean. Okay, yeah, it sucks. I don't really give a fuck what children on the playground are fucking saying to each other. Like, yeah, they're kind of mean. Okay, whatever. Kids said mean shit to me when I was their age, right? That's how it is. To the children of porn stars, I say, fucking, you know, grow a pair, okay? Get some thick skin, because it doesn't fucking matter, okay? If my mom were a porn star, she's still my mom. You know, I don't give a fuck if that's how she made the big bucks. Love your parents.
The problem is the no shame. And all of these cucks are just going to orbit
unless
them.
Unless they
and that's why it's no e-girls, bro. That's why you got to just say no to the e-girls. Not even once. But social media and OnlyFans has completely just one-shot our civilization. Who would have thought that social media would be the thing that ultimately, like, killed our society? A lot of people talking about AI, they're like, AI is gonna kill us. It's like, bro, we've already killed ourselves, dude. We've already killed ourselves. Before AI was even in the picture, bro, it was over. Tinder was already a thing. Relationships are already fucked up. The family dynamic was fucked up. Everybody's getting divorced. Tons of single moms. Tons of fatherless kids. Tons of fucked up situations. Tons of bitches, as soon as they turn 18, doing sex work. Society was already over before AI even came into the picture, man. We did it to ourselves. And maybe this is just the ultimate pattern of society. It doesn't matter how much technology we have. We always go through the same fucking thing. You know, history repeats itself. History rhymes. All that shit you hear people say when they want to sound smart. They're like, yeah, actually, history repeats itself all the time. It's like, you know, maybe it does. Maybe we're just doomed because we live in a fallen world to just always get fucked up. And then we course correct and it gets pretty good for a couple years and then it all goes to shit again. And then we just rinse and repeat. And maybe that's just the circle of life. It's really just the circle of society. And no amount of technology will save us from ourselves. No amount of this transhumanist fantasy bullshit can save us from the fact that we are human, we are primal, we have these sins that we are drawn to, and these things will ultimately be the downfall of our civilization. It happens over and over again, no matter what the case. But that's pretty much it for me at this point. This is just something that I felt like we had to discuss, and I'm sure you know why at this point. It's a pretty concerning topic, for sure. I don't know about you guys, what you think about it, if you agree, if you disagree, you know, let me know below what you think about this. Where do you think this is gonna go? Where do you think this can head? And
yeah, bro, I think that you are a fucking moron, troglodyte. That's what I think. It's just shapes and colors.